Hello viewers, welcome back. Me Darklord Kaiser, this Talos principal. Let's go do some stuff. So, I said we'll go after the zigzaggy piece, so let's go after the zigzaggy piece. That is the wrong colour zigzaggy piece. Where's the... Aha! Bypass that. Oh hey look, more QR codes. Let's see, give them a read. I hear a beep beep. Aha! You know what? No. I noticed the QR codes first, they get priority. Stupid. Okay. Some of the messages have existed. Some of the messages that existed when I first came here and came into being have vanished. Others have appeared. How many others like me have wandered these paths? How many thoughts have been lost? I'm still here. It seems we are all here at once and not at all. Sorry, that's not very much help, is it? Can't think of any other way to put it. The sooner you accept that we will all be here forever, the sooner you will find enlightenment. Samsara. See, I like the little subtleties they have in the name as well. So we've got, who have we got up there? Nobody. Let's just say like M. So that's sheep. And yeah, no, that doesn't really help. Okay, that's a bad example, but Samsara over here. Samsara, if my recollection holds, Samsara is a belief in the cycle of souls in reincarnation. I think it might be... I was going to say, I think it might be Japanese, but I don't think it is. Not with that combination of letters. I don't think Japanese have an M on its own like that. I'll stand corrected, but you know, the cycle of reincarnation is what Samsara relates to in some way. So this person here talking about enlightenment, I think it's a Buddhist term, which would make Samsara Indian. That would make sense. Seeking enlightenment being, you know, kind of the point of Buddhism, from my understanding, which is very limited. I know very little about Buddhism as a thing. Right, beep boopy man. I'll stop talking. Okay. A simple principle. Let's see what that says. Though Stratton himself never used the term, his remark about the inescapable materiality of life, that like the bronze giant Talos, even the most faithful philosopher cannot live without his blood, ultimately became known as the Talos Principle. Just a little side note, viewers. I have looked up the Talos Principle outside of the game, and as far as I can tell, it's not an actual sort of philosophical school of thought. I think it is something that's pretty much made up, by that name at least. It may have a title outside of the game of the same sort of idea, but as far as my research seems to indicate, there is no... The Talos Principle is a principle made up in this game by this game, not as a wider school of philosophy that needs coming back to. Anyway, what seemingly enraged many of his contemporaries, a significant number of later thinkers, is the principle's simplicity and unassailability, which, according to a fragment found in Miletus, cut through their rhetoric webs, which sought to tangle the listener with fanciful words and thoughts of the heavens, like Alexander's sword through the Gordian knot. Diogenes Latricius, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm certainly getting the Diogenes bit right. That's from I'm familiar with that name from Sherlock Holmes. Anyway, Diogenes Latricius made mention of a dialogue by Anaximander of Chalcedon. Alexander of Chalcedon, that expanded greatly on the Talos Principle, but that work remains lost. Well, that's helpful, isn't it? Okay, let's read this poor sod's journal. Officially began work on Archive today. Contributors from every country on Earth, while network connections last. Team, intimidated by project scope, are working hard. We're sharing space with Drennan and Sarabati? Sarapai? I am very bad at any kind of complicated looking word. Look forward to meeting them. let's leave this person's comment section. First, seriously, Cheeseman, that was the best you could say. LOL. Great snapshot of the human species at its best and its worst. At its worst, come on, it's just a comment. I'm not Stalin. Stalin was also a troll commenter. Maybe you should cut out the jokes. This is serious. The most serious thing that's ever happened. I think that's a great reason to joke about. I could completely understand that idea. Internet's working less and less. Goodbye all. Bye. God bless you. Last. Well, at least he was consistent. So, yeah. Everything's buggered is the thing to take away from that. And some people's response is, let's just be internet trolls. Hey, a box. My box. I shall call it Frederico. Frederico the box. I don't know what I'd do with this box. I'm guessing there'll be a secret somewhere I've got to use it on, but for now, let's just put it there. So now when I run into the place that needs a secret, I know where to put the box. Righty-ho, so... Anyway, all of that was distracting me away from the fact I want the zigzaggy piece over here. So let's go find something. Bichromatic entanglement. I do like the feel of those words. Bichromatic entanglement. It's got a nice flow to it as words go. I don't know why I've bothered clicking. I don't know what I'm going to connect it to. That. Well, I ain't going to be able to connect those two together yet, am I? Put that down. Let's keep looking. Not exactly a complicated problem to start with. Interesting. So. I don't think this thing has got a very high opinion of my intelligence at this point. I mean, it's perfectly reasonable to have that opinion. Oh, righty-ho. So, something needs to weigh this down so I can get into there. And it ain't gonna be me. Right, so... I connect this up thusly. Can I get all three? Ah, get all three. Come over here. Ow. Note yourself, don't walk into lasers. I can now take this. I'm thinking I'm going to need to be able to put that like that. I'll open up all my things. I wonder what happens if I try and connect two different lasers to the same tripod. Take my connector. Let's experiment. It's all. Oh, right, so it's trying to fire a laser at itself, so it's not going to work that like that. But I could connect those two. I don't think that's going to work. Oh, I see what I need to do. So I connect those. Okay, I had a plan. I don't think it's going to work now. I look at it in more detail. So I need to connect these three together. So this opens. those... No. Because those three together. That's connected up there. That leaves me free to take this one out. There we go. Plonk it on there. There we go. So the thing about this this game, I find, either the solution is incredibly obvious, or you feel like an idiot for not seeing it sooner. It's certainly how I feel for puzzles like that, where you know it's just a matter of connect all of the things to all of the things. Right then, so what else have we actually got to do in this area here? One from C, one from God knows where. Let's not bother with them for now. QR code. There is a serpent in the machine, a creature of lies, blasphemy, perverted by the archive, that knows no hope but plunge the world into eternal darkness to glorify its own despair. I've sworn an oath never to allow it into my heart. I haven't met the serpent. I want to meet the snake man. Snakes are cool. I like snakes. Never did figure out where that box was for. Anyway, I'm going to go explore the power of death. There's a good chance it'll make Elohim shout at me, but, you know, it's kind of the aim of the game at this point. Use the thing. I apologise if the squeaking of my chair comes up on the audio, guys. It's a very comfortable chair, but a bit noisy at times. Open. And running. Did I read this one before? I'm afraid of that tower. There's something terrible inside it. Never think about it. Don't even look at it. Just focus on doing the work. Don't look at it. What, this? Don't look at this tower here. You're telling me not to look at that tower. I'll stop. Up we do. So, to level 1. I don't even think I can go to level 2. Yeah. So all of these levels are locked
Tracking
into...
of primary subject has ceased. Initiate. Initiate.
So, yeah, my guess is... I've done this before, I know. So I have to do something on this level to unlock the ability to go to level 2, so... But in order to get into here, I need to have collected the arbitrary sigils. One... I'm pretty sure it's given me this particular setup before. I know this isn't going to work, guys. I'm just sort of getting things nearby so I can have a little play. Why is it up? Well, when my cursor wasn't moving, I was using the wrong bit. I don't think we could go that way. Yeah, as I said, this is my one of my least favourite aspects of this game is having to use trial and error on bits like this. Well, while I'm fiddling on this, I suppose I just think about something vaguely interesting to talk about. He says, think of something vaguely interesting to talk about, and immediately stops talking. Well done, brain, you're very useful there. Let's talk about something that this game brings to mind. That's the thought experiment known as the Chinese room, which is quite a famous experiment. Fairly sure you guys have heard of it. Well, some of you may have already heard of it. So, okay, let's open this door. So I'll just keep discussing it since I brought it up while all this happens. So, the Chinese room, it's a thought experiment that goes something along the lines of you've got a room over in China. It doesn't have to be in China, but let's say it's in China. And this room has a door, and on that door is a slot, and into this slot the populace of China can write messages, questions specifically, and put these questions into the slot, and after an amount of time has passed, out of the slot will come another piece of paper with the answer to said question. So the questions that go in are in Chinese, because it's in China, and it's Chinese people writing the questions, and the answers that come out are also in Chinese, which makes sense, you know. No point asking a question in Chinese for a random other language to come out. So it is not unreasonable for people who are outside of the room to believe that the occupant of said room speaks Chinese. The thought experiment goes, what if instead of it being a person inside who speaks Chinese, it is simply a person following an instruction manual? And it's a very complicated instruction manual that simply he basically a really, really long algorithm. So he picks up his piece of paper, turns to his book, and it says, is this character on the page? And if yes, go to page 207. If no, go to page 612. And continues along that sort of vein. You may wonder what the point of this particular thought experiment may be. Okay, so he's just tricking the general populace into, you know, believing that they know Chinese, when in fact they're just following a incredibly complicated instruction manual. And it all boils down to is it's an allegory for hard artificial intelligence versus soft artificial intelligence. The idea being that that if you were to ask an artificially intelligent computer of any description a question, how could you tell whether it was actually understanding the question and feeding back a response that it had generated through decisions of its own making, or is it simply putting all of the responses it gets through an incredibly complicated algorithm and simply feeding back the response that it gets as a result? And it is a very, very important question for anyone who is studying artificial intelligence, because the idea is you want a program that doesn't just react following a set of instructions that have been pre-programmed in. You're not looking to create a chatbot. You're looking to create, you know, actual intelligence. So I'm not talking about this puzzle, because I'm pretty sure I've got the gist of it. I need to go follow this yellow line. I'll take back to the exit. So to that door. Somewhere I got in here without having to go through that stupid stupid purple path. Let's go this way. What the hell? This place is incredibly convoluted to get around. So if we were to relate that back to the Talos principle, that's the principle that is within the game rather than the game itself. The question one might ask oneself is a human actually coming up with answers of its own volition, or is it simply being relayed through an incredibly complicated algorithm of which we do not fully understand? I mean, science has shown that the subconscious mind creates answers to will come up with the solution or decision before the conscious mind is aware of it by a surprising amount of time, something like 7 milliseconds rings a bell, which may not seem like a lot, but it means that your brain has decided what it's going to do before you've had a chance to realise what your decision is going to be, which is a little worrying if you think about it. Look at that. I could have sworn I could get a view of that blue thing from up here. Well, I've been thinking I had the solution for a minute there. Guess not. Alright. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. My meanderings about the Chinese room thought experiments have kind of confused me as to my meanderings in the game. So I have the ability to take a connector out here. Okay, so I can get a connection all the way up there. So what's the longest time? I can see that for quite a way. There's an area where that little blue light up there is visible. Let's connect that. If I connect to that and connect to that, as I'm walking around, they'll light up to show where when they're connected. So I want the longest possible time. Maybe that's the longest possible time for. Let's see. No, it's not going to work there. Try that way. So that's causing all sorts of issues over there. I can't get in there to block it. That noise is going to drive me up the wall if I just leave that going. Let's, so I can shoot lasers through the purple thing, but I can't walk through it. I wonder if that's relevant. Maybe it is. So if I go up these, instead of putting it up on this terrace, if I put it on these stairs, get a connection to that, this, and find where on the stairs I can connect both. Maybe. So I want it a little bit extra height so it goes over the top of said Wheatley over there. I wonder if that'll do it. Is that high enough? Yeah! Victory for the Darklord. And I found a computer! Oh. And unlocked the way out. Just kind of pointless, but. Oh, maybe it takes me to a different way out. We'll see. Oh, it's found an external hard drive. Let's see. Device Manager, Truth, Athena Chapters, and Human Reproduction. Once again, one of these things is not like the others. Okay, Device Manager. Loading. Show current operating parameters, show actual exit control, auxiliary stairway control, exit. Well, show what I can currently do. Well, that's certainly information. Floor access control. So 0 is unlocked, 1's unlocked, 2 is locked, and 3 onwards all require codes that I don't have. So let's unlock number 2. Yes. Because that's kind of how progress works. Okie dokie, so we've done those 3. Auxiliary stairway access control. Software license has expired. This auxiliary stairway is now in always open mode. So in order to lock the stairs, they need a license, but the software license has expired, and all of humanity is dead, so they can't redo it. Cool. Let's see the truth. Do not believe what they are saying. This is not the end of the world created by our Lord God in 6 days. This is a conspiracy of the government, Illuminati, and international Darwinism. This is a global warming 2.0, a lie told by the children of Beelzebub. Science. Do not let them take your liberty. Exodus 21:24. Defend yourself against all vaccines, experiments, artificial machines, and potpourri. Potpourri? Do you mean potpourri? That's not how you spell that. Also, do not defend yourself against vaccines. We need those to live. Let's look at the Athena chapters. That is a contents. That's not very helpful. I suppose it tells me how many chapters of Athena there are to collect, maybe? Surely if a machine is able to reproduce another machine systematically, we may say that it has a reproductive system. How few of the machines are there which have not been produced systematically by other machines? But it is man that makes them do so. Yes, but it is not insects that make any of the plants reproduce, and would not whole families of plants die out if their fertilization was not affected by a class of agents utterly foreign to themselves? Each one of ourselves has sprung from minute animalcules, I'm not familiar with that word, whose entity was entirely distinct from our own, and which acted after their kind with no thought or heed of what we might think about it. These little creatures are part of our own reproductive system. Then why not we part of the machines? Okay, that's enough of that, I think. Right, so I will leave the Tower of Death. And I think this video has been going on far too long. But well, as I say, I'm aiming for a 20-minute window. My little timer says I've been going for 28. Fantastic. Alrighty, so what are these auxiliary stairs it talked about? Because I ain't seeing no stair system. Anyway, let's go back to. Well, I'll head up to level 2, but I will call it a day as the elevator goes up. So, thanks for watching, and bye.